Hello and welcome to AG the Champion. We will be continuing the Gran Turismo 6 walkthrough and we're still on the Novice Championship. So we will be looking for a car that's not normally used. We can't choose one that is too powerful, others will destroy the competition. I'd like to choose one that no one even thinks of, one that you might be surprised is actually in the game. And no, it will not be the Toyota Aqua, but it will be the Toyota Vitz from 2012. The Vitz is quite an affordable car and a decent starter car, but it's known as Yaris in other places. But we shall be turning this into a sleeper Vitz RS. A Vitz RS minus the aero, just like we did with the Mercedes A160 in the previous episode. Not a very impressive startup, but let's see if we can improve on that. Straight to the tuning shop so that we can give it some decent rims because it's on steel rims with plastic hubcaps. Its engine will not be powerful enough to be able to help us to get the trophy at the end of the cup. I think a rear wing would be a bit tacky, unless I want to rally this thing. We will max the tuning on this car out, replace everything with performance parts, change the suspension and put on a decent set of rims, which will make the car look so much sportier. And the carbon fiber hood is looking good on the car. It's blending in very well with the paint, and so are the rims. So off we go with our tuned Vitz into the championship. Let's see what the AI has brought against our car. Oh no, the sound of the car is horrendous. I didn't think putting a big exhaust on a Vitz would make it sound this bad. And surprisingly, from inside the car it sounds even louder than outside. Hopefully the acceleration... nope. It sounds even worse when accelerating, sounds like a lawnmower. Start of the race we've gotten past a Suzuki Fit RS. Probably an RS. And I am already not liking this car. The handling is not as bad as it would be if it was a standard car. The standard car does not handle badly, but round a track, it's not a track car. So at least changing the suspension has helped, but there's quite a bit of oversteer. And wow, this sound is just horrendous. Quite a lot of body roll. I'm using all of the track. I'm surprised that these sports cars ahead of me are not managing to keep ahead. Then again, I've fully tuned this car. Unfortunately, I think an electric conversion would have been better than this, because this sound is wild. Almost going off of the track, but let's at least try and get used to this car. We've got to actually finish the championship with it. I've spent a lot on this car, so I better actually use it. One of the few fully modeled cars. It has a decent interior, so I like that they actually finished this car. So other than the sound, it doesn't look bad at all. I just wish it had a small rear spoiler. But we're struggling to keep up with Mazda. But late braking should help us get ahead. A bit too late, but the guy ahead of us gives us enough space to actually get in front of him. And we're in first place. A bit of a burnout with the right tire, but it should be easy sailing unless I go onto the gravel. Wow, the body roll in this car is quite something. Tuning it has at least helped us to get over 100 quickly, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to hit 180, which ideally is its limiter if it's JDM. But I'm pretty sure I increased the top speed in the settings before doing this race. And we're not too far from the finish line. We've built a decent gap over the other cars, and it should be a very easy win for us. Over to race 2 in the autumn ring, and I'm currently leading the championship with an overtuned CVT Toyota Vitz. I think a Vitz RS would have been much better if I could get a manual gearbox or something on it. Even an auto gearbox, the CVT sounds terrible because it does not change gears. And honestly, if there's a way to switch out the exhaust mid-session, that would be a good idea. But let's bear the sound and actually try and finish this race. It's not very good when it comes to cornering, at least compared to the other cars ahead of me, because they're literal rear-wheel drive sports cars. Maybe not rear-wheel drive, but they handle pretty well. Round the outside of onto the grass we've not managed to get ahead of the Suzuki, but I will brake late and push him wide. We've managed to get ahead of him. I am not sure how we're going to handle the rest of the race because I'm struggling to keep the car on track. The tire is absolutely squealing, but we're managing to catch up to the car ahead of us. I might end up on the grass right here. I am on the grass. Let's just try not to spin out or to lock up. Late braking, I would not like to do that. I do not want to attempt it because I am likely to end up on the gravel. But we managed to go around the outside, he gives us enough space and we're ahead. We just need to make it ahead of the first two cars. We need to get to first place before the second lap, and that could be quite a task. But I don't think it'll be too difficult. Trying to go around the outside of this Nissan Silvia. He blocks the outside, but it's fine. We have the inside line for this corner. We go wide, quite wide. He might try to overtake on the inside line. The left is squealing, really struggling for traction. These tires are not going to help us. They did not allow us to change onto some sporty tires. We had to use standard tires for this particular race. But the first two cars are inside, so we could be able to overtake them before even the next lap starts. Maybe not, but we should get ahead of one of them by the corner, the first corner. Almost hitting we have hit the wall. Smacked the car trying to keep up with the Mazda ahead of us, forgetting that we cannot corner as well, because our car is much heavier, much taller, and it's not on good tires. The Mazda is being held up by the Honda, so we'll try and go around the outside line, because we'll have the inside line for this corner. Try and push him wide. He's not even quick enough to actually stay with us. I'll brake early so that I don't end up ramming into him, because he might decide to block us. And whoa, he slams on the brakes and I nearly hit him. He manages to keep ahead, but that is quite some dirty driving from this Honda driver. He doesn't have enough power, but he keeps slamming on the brakes. Unreasonable places, in all honesty. And I think that's a major issue with the AI in this game. They're a bit too careless, and also at the same time, even though they might be aggressive, they're not very smart. But he pushes us off track, actually hits our car. That's good for him for trying to stay on the outside. He kept the inside line. I'm on the gravel. I've lost a lot of speed, so I've lost another position. I need to catch up to these two cars, but there should be enough time to do it. But we have been pushed off the track. I was a bit overconfident on that outside line, but let's try and push as hard as we possibly can without pushing it to the limit, because it will just understeer off track. We can't keep up with the Mazda around the corner, but down the straights, he does not have as much power as we do. Now we're back behind the Honda, again with the slamming of the brakes. He's really trying to get us to ram into the back of him, and that would be our race over. But we managed to get ahead. I do not know if the Mazda that is behind him will overtake him. I hope so. He is still trying to attack me, putting his nose in on the corner so I can't completely close it off. But on the grass again, I just need to make sure that I defend enough so that he doesn't get past us and we win the race, but not by much. This is actually the hardest race I've done so far. The competition has been good. Off onto the third race of this championship. We're back in Brands Hatch, but this is a longer circuit. And I have a feeling that I might actually just spin on the gravel, or maybe go off and get sucked deeper into the gravel. With the way this car is turning, you really have to wrestle the car into the corners, or at least brake a bit earlier, so that you'll be able to finesse it into the corners. Brands Hatch at night is quite interesting, and I like how the dials have lit up to some sort of orangish red, as if this car is actually sporty. We managed to at least not end up on the gravel round the outside of the Suzuki Swift. I have no idea why it's not as quick as the cars ahead, but at least this time we know how the car handles, so we'll be able to use that to our advantage. It's not a surprise. We need to be really careful around the corners. We need to take the braking zone seriously too. You see, this time we don't need to use the entire length of the track, but I will still do so that I could carry more speed into the corners. This will be a heavy braking point. Who brakes later? I end up braking later, but I'll try and keep it on track, carrying the speed round the corner, and now we're behind the Nissan. Overtake it, convertible actually. It would look really nice if the roof was removable. I do not know whether or not they allow you to remove the roof in this game. Here we go into a very fast section of the circuit. Just a little tap of the brakes and we try and keep it as close to the inside of the corner as possible. Try and meet the apex. And here I like to go wide a bit so that I can clip the apex nicely. Just climb over the curb a bit and then use the outside curb to propel myself further forward. Looks like there's a bit of a fight going on ahead of us. Let them fight. They'll actually help us to get closer, because they're losing time by fighting with each other. So far so good. I even have enough time to admire the weather. The sun is looking absolutely amazing as it pops up right above the trees. I think we'll be able to catch and overtake the guys ahead of us even before we get to the second portion, the second half of this track. The Honda seems to be much quicker on the straights than the Mazda ahead of us. but the Mazda is really good in the corners and is getting a bit of a slipstream, getting ever so closer to the Honda, but I'm carrying way more speed, doing 170. I actually might hit 180. So I've hit my limit and I'll probably pass it, but the Honda brakes later than us and he's able to actually carry that speed because his car, it actually seems to be much wider. Let's try and outbrake him here, but he's putting up a fight. He's braked much later than we have. Very late braking. I think it's Daniel Ricciardo driving this car ahead of us. He's taken the outside line, but we'll try and keep the inside line and brake late. We managed to keep ahead, but he's still there. He's still there on our side, so we can't push him off completely. He's used all of the track. I've almost lost the car. But on acceleration, I'm much quicker. Round the corners is where I start to actually sweat. A very difficult braking zone, so we'll have him trying to overtake us as we exit this corner. But we're carrying the speed onto the grass, so he's probably on our left right now. He's far back in the mirrors. So it seems for now we are safe. Unless we dip it into the gravel, then things will get really tricky because there's not much left of this race. It might be the longer version of the first race we did, but as you can see, the total time will be maybe 4 minutes. So that's a very quick lap time. We keep it nice and clean over here. We brake even more than needed. Onto the gravel, that's what I was trying to avoid, and now we are under attack. The Honda is getting closer, but we still have a bit of an advantage. We just need to keep the next few corners clean. With a rear-wheel drive car on this track, touching the grass could actually send you spinning into the wall. And my controller completely disconnects. My wheel, I have no idea what has happened. I'm almost in the wall, I'm in the gravel. This was what I was trying to avoid, but it could not avoid me. The Honda gets past, and behind me I've got the Mazda that is trying to overtake. I need to pass him by this corner, otherwise I've lost the race. I will brake later than him, absolutely slam on the brakes and get into the throttle as early as possible. It's a drag race to the finish line. He's still on my left, he's still trying to get past me, but now he's in my mirrors and that was not an easy win. The odds were completely against me, even my own racing will was against me. But somehow we've managed to win this. So that is the end of the championship. We managed to retain first place despite all of the drama. We've gotten a trophy and a free car. Not a lot of credits in the end. But we will upgrade our car. We have to upgrade our car for the next championship. We'll need something sporty that's quite maneuverable and also tunable, because we'll need to use it for quite a lot of events. So stay tuned for that.